Hello everyone, this is Mark Pearson on the Honor and Knowledge channel. The video today is all about the predictions regarding President Trump winning re-election in 2020. Doing the research for this, I looked for all the factors that could lead to an indication of whether Biden or Trump was going to win. I found none that indicated Biden was going to win, found a couple that were inconclusive, but all the rest indicate President Trump wins re-election. Voter enthusiasm. So are the voters for one party or the other actually going to go and vote? And are they going to convince other people to go vote for their candidate also? So let's take a look at anecdotal evidence. Joe Biden has rallies. He speaks at the podium, but then when you look to see who's around him, one time it looked like a drive-in theater with a few cars and pickup trucks that had people in them. At other places, there's a circle. However, when President Trump has a rally, there's a huge number, even if it's at the last moment. So let's take a look at actual numbers. The best I found was a poll taken a month ago by SSRS. They've been taking this poll since 2003. They reported that in their most recent poll, 53% of the respondents stated that they were extremely enthusiastic. SSRS said this is the highest that they have ever had as an answer to that question. So you compare the highest, 53% that they've ever had, to the actual appearance of what you see at rallies for Biden and Trump, and it's not a stretch to state that that much greater enthusiasm has got to be on President Trump's side. There are also multiple stories in the past over this last year and longer about how there's just not that much enthusiasm for Joe Biden. Another predictor for Donald Trump to win. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Which is somewhat similar to the old statement, it's the economy, stupid. Taking a look at a Gallup poll in early October of 2020, they reported 56% of the respondents stated that they were better off now than 4 years ago. That is after the summer of COVID-19. That is after all the things that have been going on this year that would indicate that President Trump is going to have difficulty winning re-election. 56% of the respondents to the Gallup poll stated they were better off now than they were 4 years ago. That's a big predictor to me that President Trump is going to win re-election. Professor Norpoth is a professor associated with Stony Brook University on Long Island. For a couple of decades now, he has been predicting the presidential election using his primary model. In 2016, he predicted that then candidate Donald Trump would win in spite of all the polls to the contrary. This summer, Professor Norpoth indicated that he thought that President Trump had a 91% chance of winning re-election. And he also said that President Trump was going to win more states this time and get more electoral college votes than in 2016. Professor Alan Lichtman of American University also has a prediction model for the presidency. His is called the 13 Keys. He wrote a book called the 13 Keys of the White House. He, in 2016, also predicted that Donald Trump would win the presidency. This year, for the first time, Professor Lichtman's model is in conflict with Professor Norpoth's. Professor Lichtman predicts that Joe Biden's going to win the presidency this year. Didn't make sense to me, and that's why I made a couple other videos on the subject. So I looked at his book, reviewed the data, and there were 3 keys that he had incorrectly assigned to Joe Biden. Reassigning those properly to President Trump gives President Trump the prediction in accordance with the 13 Keys model to win re-election. One of the things that can affect a presidential election is whether or not there are third-party candidates that are drawing votes away from one of the 2 primary candidates. During 2016, the largest third-party candidate was Gary Johnson and the Libertarians. Much smaller was the Green Party and then a separate independent campaign. The Libertarian Party actually got almost twice as many votes as all the other third-party candidates together. If you add the votes from the different third parties to either the Democratic or Republican campaigns, it turns out that President Trump would have received the state of Maine giving him 2 more electoral college votes, Minnesota with 10, Nevada with 6, and New Hampshire with 4. New Mexico is right on the fence. Doing actual number crunching indicates that it would go to Trump. However, not going to be that overreaching. So I'll say that President Trump would get 326 electoral college votes this time. And if he gets New Mexico, it'd be 331 electoral college votes. The result for Biden is either 205 or 200. Another way of predicting presidential elections is taking a look at historical trends with regard to how voters are voting in each of the different states. In 2016, 13 states had a growing percentage of Democratic voters compared to their total population. There are 37 states that were increasingly going towards the Republican camp. Another predictor that President Trump is going to do better and is going to win re-election. Astrological predictions. Mr. Akaria Salil has multiple astrological forecasts on his YouTube videos. One of them talks about how Mr. Biden and President Trump have very similar astrological readings. Mr. Salil predicts that President Trump is going to win re-election. Now, I will tell you that I'm not an expert in astrological predictions. However, India is the largest democracy in this world and a strong ally of ours. And if Mr. Salil predicts President Trump is going to win re-election, I'll take that one. So I took a look also about how President Trump was doing in certain communities. The Asian Indian, for example, in 2016, he got 16% of the vote. Indications are now that he's going to get 28% of the Asian Indian vote. 28% is a lot better than 16%. In 2016, President Trump received 8% of the black vote. In a June 2020 poll conducted by Hill Harris X, 24% of the black community approved of President Trump's performance. It's a pretty big jump to me. Right now, after recovering from coronavirus, President Trump is barnstorming across the United States. Something similar to that occurred way back after World War II, when President Truman was running for re-election. In mid-October, the polls had indicated that he was going to lose. The polls just stopped being taken because everybody thought there was no reason to. We all have seen that famous picture of President Truman winning re-election and holding up the newspaper the day after election, stating that he had lost the election. Historians believe that what got President Truman over the goal line for that election was his famous whistle-stop tour, very similar to what President Trump is doing now. And as a little tiny footnote, both gentlemen had the first 4 letters of the last name identical. Just thought I'd throw that one in too. This next predictor of President Trump winning I call "In God We Trust," which is our nation's motto. Back in 2016, my wife and I were both committed to Trump to win. I was convinced he was going to. My wife was concerned that he wasn't. On election night, she went to bed. I stayed up, and I got to watch the joy. Right now, in October, my wife feels the same way she did 4 years ago, and I feel the same way I did 4 years ago. I also believe that most Americans recognize the importance of both President Trump as an individual and President Trump as what we need as a country right now. In a previous video, I spoke about Thomas Paine writing in his famous pamphlet, Common Sense, that came out in early 1776, that the reason for government is to provide protection for its citizens. Most people believe that. Polls that we've all seen indicate that a huge preponderance of the population wants more police in their neighborhood, not less. Oh, by the way, even Joe Biden's home state had the police endorsing President Trump. I want to remind people of Burnell Trammell, the black gentleman in Milwaukee who was murdered, probably because of his support of President Trump. And many other people lost their lives in the non-peaceful violence that has been going on in this country. We need to stop it. And I think the vast majority of American citizens agree with that and will be supporting President Trump to do just that. I've lived in many states. I got to know a lot of people, a lot of different cultures. Also been to Australia, New Zealand, grew up in France and Germany. One of my sons married a Hispanic, the other son married a Canadian. Our country is fantastic, and I've seen a lot of it. America is a kind, powerful, strong, gentle, intelligent nation. But we do like a winner. Boy, oh boy, Americans love that. President Trump has been accomplishing everything that he's been accomplishing in spite of the barriers and challenges thrown at him. He's done an amazing job for us, and the American people, I believe, have seen that. President Trump is a winner. He's been winning overseas. He's been winning here at home. Woolly bear caterpillar, specifically the ones living on lupine plants on Bodega Bay cliffs out in California. The University of California at Davis does an annual census. They go out and they count the number of woolly bear caterpillars that are living on the lupine plants that live on the Bodega Bay cliffs in California. In 2016, they actually have articles about how it was leaning towards the Republicans winning in 2016. For 2020, I can't find anything about the woolly bear caterpillar on the Bodega Bay cliffs in California. I can't find anything, no matter what different ways I look for it. So the question I have is, What are they hiding?